So my camera gear addiction eventually led me to vintage lenses, and now that has carried over into the audio space, into vintage microphones. So what you're listening to right now is the Electro-Voice PL88L dynamic cardioid vocal microphone, released in the 1980s and made in Japan. Bought this used. I had never heard of this before. You'll see a wide range of prices online, anywhere from I think like $30 USD all the way to 220 something USD. I picked this one up for 100 Canadian, which I feel like is a bit of an overpay, because I think new when they first came out was like 70-80 bucks, but wanted to play around with it, and I had read very minimal information online, so that's why I'm making this video. Now my voice is messed up. I'm quite sick actually, so this probably won't be a good comparison compared to the other videos on my channel. This is not my regular voice, but so far I'm really liking the sound of this microphone. Can't really recommend it, to be honest, because of the handling noise. It's quite pronounced, and I'm going to compare it to the SC Electronics V7 and the Behringer XM8500 shortly. We can see how it compares when it comes to handling noise, but I like the clarity that it provides. There is a sentence online that I found, and I thought it was actually fairly accurate, from the Telecaster Guitar Forum. We found an EV PL88L and decided to track some vocals with it. It seems to have a lot of clarity for a dynamic, far cleaner and better definition than the Shure SM58. So yeah, the Shure SM58, very dark microphone, and I would describe my Behringer XM8500 as a fairly dark sound as well. So this seems to, actually has some nice pronounced clarity in the top end, and I think it's just nice. It's not too overbearing to listen to. It does, for some reason, have a broadcasty, old school sound to it. I can't quite understand why I feel that way. It might just be my own perceptions and mind playing tricks on me, and I lack the sufficient knowledge to articulate it properly or describe what I'm hearing. But for some reason, that's the impression that I'm getting. Something, I don't know, maybe more of a squeezed sound in some ways, but yeah, very, very nice. I like it. I will say I'm pretty impressed with its handling of plosives without even having a little sock on it, windscreen, condom thing. With this pa, it's going to get rid of all the plosives. Without it, pa, it's not getting rid of all the plosives, but it's actually, I don't know, it sounds pretty good to my ears in terms of how it's handling it. It does say that there's a built-in pop filter. It says built-in Acoustifoam TM. So I don't know what that exactly is, but Electro-Voice did a fairly good job, it seems like. The only other notable thing, I guess, is that it has an off switch and on switch, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to switch over to a couple of other variations. Right now it's connected to the Zoom H6, and I've set the level to 6 on the dial so that I'm peaking at -12. So through comparisons really quick, I'm just going to switch to the Behringer XM8500, then I'm going to switch over to the SC Electronics V7, and then I'm going to use this microphone again with a cloud lifter just to see if that cleans anything up. Alright, so we're on the Behringer XM8500, $30 Canadian when I bought this microphone. Extremely good value. Pop. I believe it's a little bit more poppy than the PL88L. Actually, maybe it's similar. Pop. Pretty good. Pop. It might be similar, actually. But yeah, I mean, I love this microphone. This headphone amplifier is garbage. I gotta switch this. Behringer XM8500, this is what it sounds like. I believe this is also just a dynamic cardioid microphone. Maybe I should double check that. Why is this 75 bucks now? Holy shit. Yeah, this is also a dynamic cardioid microphone. It actually sounds fairly similar, I think, to the PL88L. Maybe a bit more of a, I don't know. I can't really describe these things very well, but like a very sloped, curvy low end is what I hear compared to the PL88L. And sound, I don't know. You tell me. Right now when I'm monitoring live, actually, I can't really quite tell if it's much darker than the PL88L. But it just sounds a little slightly different. Well, I guess I'll have a better idea once I'm on the computer. Now, with this one, I do typically actually use it with the windscreen, and this is just a Shure SM58 windscreen. But yeah, I do like this microphone. Handling noise, so you'll see, is actually a lot better than the PL88L. With the Electro-Voice, I feel like I have to really be mindful of staying still. This one, you can definitely hear some noise, but a little bit better. Can't really recommend it, to be honest, because of the handling noise. It's quite pronounced. And I'm going to compare it to the SC Electronics V7. One thing I should have mentioned, Behringer XM8500 was really similar to the Electro-Voice. I was also at a 6 on the Zoom H6. And actually, still at 6, SC Electronics V7. This one's super cardioid as opposed to cardioid, so I have to be a little bit more mindful not to drift off axis too much, because then you can see or you can hear, there's quite a big difference, a big drop off in the audio or in the volume. From design element, this has this big red badge, which I'm not a big fan of, but it's okay. This is the black edition, so it comes with that black windscreen underneath. I much prefer that to the red one. It's got this ring outside that has flat edges, so it doesn't roll around, which is actually very nice. I've noticed this one handling noise is a lot easier to manage. Sound, I think this is very neutral, is very clear. I do really like this sound, to be honest. I remember I tested it against my Neumann TLM 103 at one point, and obviously very different microphones, but surprisingly the amount of definition and clarity was pretty up there. I was very happy with the way it sounded. And with all three of these mics, I mean, any handheld dynamic cardioid, super cardioid in this case, so good at isolating the voice. I'm in a glass box apartment and you can hear everything outside. I think I even hear sirens outside right now, very faintly. I'm pretty confident the mic's not going to pick any of that up. And I actually even have a fan right beside me because it is hot. And I'm fairly confident that none of that fan noise was picked up by any of these microphones. And I'm fairly confident that none of that fan noise was picked up by any of these microphones. I am noticing we're getting a bit of plosives here, maybe more than the Behringer and the PL88L. Maybe it's the design of the windscreen inside of this mesh. I don't know, but pa. And the SM58 windscreen just barely fits. Or maybe that's a perfect fit, actually. So pa. It's going to get rid of those plosives very nicely. Yeah, I think whenever I listen to this microphone, I feel like my headphone, I'm going to pass out. I'm dying. My monitoring situation is just not really doing it. I just have the headphones plugged directly into the H6, and I can't really hear much detail, honestly. And I think volume's maxed out too. They all sound very similar to me. I can't really tell right now with these headphones. And just out of curiosity, I want to hear the Electro-Voice again, PL88L, with the Cloud Lifter. CL1. Alright, so this is the Electro-Voice PL88L handheld dynamic cardioid vocal microphone. And now it's running into a cloud lifter into the Zoom H6 with phantom power. Gain dial is now at 3, whereas it was at 6 before, and we're getting very similar levels. I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference because the Zoom H6, I think up to about 6 on the gain dial is actually pretty passable. Starting at 7, I think it starts to get quite a bit noisier. But we'll see. I don't know. 3 compared to 6. It could be a cleaner signal. Could not. I think it sounds pretty similar, though. I guess now that we're back on this microphone, how would you describe this sound profile? Maybe I'll leave it to you guys. Can you teach me what is the difference between this microphone? Because now it sounds more smooth to me than the V7. Whereas before, I thought it was actually a bit more, had a little more grit to it. I don't know. I could also just be delirious. Anyways, that is my growing mic collection now. I don't know why we have so many handheld dynamics. Actually, I do know why. It's because we started a podcast called the Freecast Lounge. That's not it. Thinking about Diddy. No. We started a podcast called the Freelance Lounge. If you want to check it out, it's here. All the information. And this is the setup we're running. It's a Zoom H6, and then it needed some more microphones. So we have some Shure SM58s. I got the SE Electronics V7. I have this one and the Behringer XM8500. I don't think I'm going to end up using this microphone just because, again, the handling noise is kind of wild. But at the same time, I don't know. Right now, it's actually, I can get used to this. This isn't too bad. It's easy to manage. Yeah, this is another shit post, but I love audio stuff and I love microphones. So hope you enjoyed this, though. Hopefully it's useful to somebody out there. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.